Westfield Memorial Hospital provides high-quality health care to residents of Western New York, offering patients the most sophisticated medical advancements while keeping the ease and familiarity of a community hospital. Support for Chautauqua Sunrise has been provided by WRFA 107.9 FM, Jamestown's public radio station, streaming online 24/7 at WRFALP.com. Low power to the people. Chautauqua Sunrise is made possible by a grant from Fredonia Place, a continuing care retirement community providing dignity in a modern luxury environment. Meter's Restaurant, a family tradition for over 50 years in downtown Ripley, is a proud supporter of Chautauqua Sunrise. Meter's provides all-day dining, banquet services, and custom catering, specializing in pie. Funding for Chautauqua Sunrise is provided in part by the Chautauqua County Industrial Development Agency, with offices in Jamestown, Dunkirk, and Westfield, helping businesses to prosper throughout Chautauqua County. From supporting people with disabilities to enjoy great lives, to providing health care services that are available to anyone, the Resource Center has been improving our county for more than 60 years. Learn more about how the Resource Center makes a positive difference in people's lives. From the Access Chautauqua Studios in Mayville, it's Chautauqua Sunrise. Chautauqua Sunrise is hosted by Doc Hamels and supported by the award-winning volunteers at Access Chautauqua. We are here to share local news, colorful interviews, and events of interest to everyone. Chautauqua Sunrise is broadcast live Saturday mornings each week from 9 to 10 a.m. Send events via email or call us live. Check us out on YouTube and Facebook. And now, from the Access Chautauqua Studios, it's Chautauqua Sunrise.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Chautauqua Sunrise. I'm Doc Hamels, and so glad you could join us here today. As always, good morning to those that are watching me either live on TV or you're watching us anywhere in the world streaming. Always leave us a note. We'd love to hear from you. Also, good afternoon to all my listeners on WRFA 107.9, low power to people in Jamestown. And Jason Sample, he's the boss man now, just to plug Jason. So, hi everybody, I'm glad you're listening in. We got a great show in store for you. We have my second mayor ever to be on my show. We've got the Honorable Mayor Eddie Sundquist that's going to be joining us shortly. He's getting powdered and getting, all dolled up and looking good here, so he'll be on the show here in a little bit. So anyways, hey, I was thinking on the way over here, the new slogan for Chautauqua County. Ready, Justin? Yep. Visit Chautauqua County for a week where you can experience all 4 seasons in 7 days.
In one day.
In one day, too. Last week, Saturday, it was like 85 degrees. I'm doing a gig out in Mayville with the guys, the Growlers, at the Big Inlet. Then we had kind of like spring weather. Then it went to fall weather. Then we had snow. And today, I'm not sure what it is. It's like March, November or something or other. Anyways, warmer weather's on the way. Flowers are up, so I know it's spring. But wow, I never put any of my outdoor clothes away. I got winter. It's fall. I got spring, and then summer's just sandals. But it's crazy. I wore a knit hat to come in today. Oy, oy, oy. Okay. We've got a few announcements and things to share with you, but I'm glad you're here. One of the things that came up this week that I overheard at our Rotary Club is Westfield Memorial Hospital, one of my underwriters that you saw earlier, is willing to give vaccines out, and they are doing it right there at the hospital where I actually got mine. And if you're interested in the viewing area and you still haven't got a shot, and I'm 99.9% positive anyone over 16 now is eligible here in the state, but you give them a call at 716-326-8255. 4921. Again, 716-326-4921. And you don't have to live in Westfield. It's statewide. So it's very easy. You check in the front lobby. They take you out through these doors, and there's a little room. You sit down. They give you a shot. They make sure you're okay, and out the door you go. It's really very pleasant there. Nice folks, and they did a great job with me and my wife. So anyways, that's their vaccines are at your CVS's, your Rite Aids, county. I mean, they're everywhere. So I wanted to share that because I know a lot of people in my viewing area are from the Westfield region, so that's there for you. All right, I have a few announcements to share with you, and we'll get to that right now. And the first one is from Todd Tranum at the Chamber of Commerce. And this comes up just about every April. It's the State Legislative Breakfast, April 23rd. When the Chamber of Commerce scheduled its State Legislative Breakfast as our first ever virtual event last April, little did they know that they would be meeting again a year later online. This year, they'll continue to hold online events in place of large group gatherings as health concerns still influence these decisions. This year's virtual state legislative breakfast is set for 8 a.m. Friday, April 23rd, and their guest will be State Senator George Borrello and State Assemblyman Andrew Goodell, people we all know. We encourage all attendees to come prepared to submit questions for our representatives in Albany. You may also email questions prior to the meeting to swebster, that's for Sheila, swebster at chautauquachamber.org. There's a lot going on in Albany right now. All you do is pick up the paper, and I'm sure you may have some questions about some things, even what we're going to be talking about today. This is another great opportunity to support local businesses, as you can easily pick up breakfast or coffee from a local restaurant to enjoy during the online event. Our sponsors are Chautauqua Institution, Jamestown Mattress Company, Media One Radio Group, The Observer, The Post Journal, Serta Mattress Company, and UPMC Chautauqua. Please register in advance through their online chamber calendar at chautauquachamber, all one word, .org. Again, chautauquachamber.org for their state legislative breakfast, April 23. You know, you attend those things, and it's an opportunity to, find out what's going on and get your questions answered. Okay, we have a slide number 15. We've been doing this right along. We're trying to work right along with the Reg Lene, who've been very supportive of us here at Access Chautauqua and my show. Best Pictures nominees. We talked about some of them last week. 2 films nominated for the Best Picture at this year's Academy Awards will show at the Reg Lene for the Arts. Minari screens Wednesday, April 21 at 7 p.m. Promising Young Woman screens Friday, April 23 at 7 p.m. Each is nominated for 6 Academy Awards, including Best Picture. Now, a lot of us haven't been getting out to the theaters and so forth, but they're opening the Reg. So listen, this is the explanation of Minari. A tender and sweeping story about what roots us. Minari follows a Korean-American family that moves moves to an Arkansas farm in search of their own American dream. The family home changes completely with the arrival of their sly, foul-mouthed, but incredibly loving grandmother. Sly, foul-mouthed, loving grandmother. Those words don't all go together. I don't know anybody like that. They're all on TV, I guess. Oh, you do? I heard a little snicker over there. Amidst the instability and challenges of this new life in the rugged Ozarks, Minari shows the undeniable resilience of family and what really makes a home. Minari is rated PG-13 and is 116 minutes long. In addition to Best Picture, it is nominated for Best Director, Lee Isaac, Best Actor, Stephen Yeun, Best Supporting Actress, Yoon Young, Best Original Screenplay, and Best Original Score. Okay, now, the next movie, the Best Director nominee, Emerald Fennell, helms Promising Young Woman. Okay, this is the next movie. Everyone said Cassie was a promising young woman until a mysterious event abruptly derailed her future. But nothing in Cassie's life is what it appears to be. She's wickedly smart, tantalizingly cunning, and she's living a secret double life by night. Ooh. Now, an unexpected encounter is about to give Cassie a chance to right the wrongs of the past in this thrilling and wildly entertaining story. I should be on radio. Promising Young Woman is rated R and is 114 minutes long. In addition to Best Picture and Best Director, it is nominated for Best Actress, Carey Mulligan, Best Original Screenplay, and Best Editing. Now, the Reg Lene Center for the Arts will screen the remaining Best Picture nominees throughout April, including The Father on April 28th at 7, The Sound of Metal on April 30th at 7. Tickets for the movies are only $7 per patron. Each patron will also be charged a $1 fee for additional cleaning of the theater due to COVID-19. Remember, folks, restaurants, theaters, anywhere you go, they've got these extra charges because they got to have people do all this extra work or extra supplies. So that's where they're adding this little extra surcharge on things. Seating is limited due to social distancing mandates. Masks are required of all patrons. All tickets must be purchased ahead of time. Tickets may be purchased online at reglene.com or by phone at 484-7070. Box offices hours are, I'm having trouble again today. Box office hours are Monday 12 to 5 and Wednesday and Friday 12 to 8 p.m. All movie information, updated COVID guidelines, and more, visit reglene.com. Okay, this is from the Chamber of Commerce talking about vaccinations. This is good information for all of us to think about whether we're in business for ourselves or we visit businesses. Getting vaccinated will help keep you, your family, your community, the economy, and your community safe and healthy. Chautauqua County is Chautauqua County is at a turning point. These things don't always read right. Chautauqua County is at a turning point in the battle against COVID-19. Just a few short weeks ago, we couldn't get enough of the vaccines to meet the demand. Now we are seeing a new struggle in how to fill the appointment spaces available and use all the doses allotted for our people. The data shows that there is vaccine hesitancy in many rural areas of the United States, including Western New York and the Southern Tier. Simultaneously, COVID cases are again on the rise in our county. Our failure to quickly reach herd immunity, as we talked about last week, especially as variants increase, will be harmful to our families, our communities, and our economy. The very last thing we want is another situation where the progress we've all made toward fully reopening the economy turns in the opposite direction. And we've talked about that here. The very best way to avoid that is get vaccinated. As Chautauqua County looks forward to a summer season with at least a partial reopening of many local attractions and towards bringing tourists back to help boost our local businesses, attractions, golf courses, restaurants, and a whole lot more, it's crucial that our residents get vaccinated against COVID-19. We have too much to offer here in our normal, in our normal summer tourism season draws thousands of people into our county and our local businesses. We also know that visitors are being cautious about travel plans and want to go where they feel they can be safe. If we want to have a strong tourism season this summer, it is imperative that we get more of our residents vaccinated. The pandemic has been a long haul for the business community. Businesses have shown resiliency. However, due to the economic impacts, many are still struggling to get their footing, and some are gone never to come back. In addition, the pandemic continues to have an impact on economic output. From service industries to contractors to manufacturing, the challenges of managing businesses with employees who may be out sick or in quarantine has had a major impact on productivity. The sooner we get more of our population vaccinated, the quicker our businesses can get back to business as usual, and we can fully rebuild our local economy again. COVID vaccinations are being provided free of charge to all recipients. You may be asked to show an insurance card at your appointment, but there's no copay and there will be no charge for the shots. I wasn't even asked for an insurance card. Kudos to all of the healthcare workers, emergency medical personnel, and volunteers who have been helping to run vaccination clinics throughout Chautauqua County. It is easier now than ever before to make a vaccine appointment. And I talked about Westfield Memorial Hospital just a bit ago. Many pharmacies are providing them, in the health department for the county is running clinics as is the Chautauqua Center. You can learn more at Vaccine Hound. That's an interesting one. vaccinehound.org/Chautauqua, or visit the Chautauqua Center at tcchealth.org. We can't stress enough that getting vaccinated is really important for your own health, your family, your friends, your coworkers, your community, the economy, and your country. Vaccination is the path forward and the best way to return our communities and businesses to normal operations. And that's from Todd Tranum over at the Chamber of Commerce, and I fully concur with what he wrote. Okay, and last slide, and we're going to take a little breather. Drug Take Back Day. National Prescription Drug Take Back Day is Saturday, next week, April 24, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the following locations: Chautauqua Mall over on Fairmount Avenue, and the parking lot is across from the Aspire building. All right, okay? At the Chautauqua Mall on Fairmount in Lakewood, the parking lot across from Aspire. Then you can go to Westfield Family Physicians over on Main Street, and they are going to be accepting prescriptions in the parking lot. All-Star Ambulance at 738 Monroe Street in Dunkirk, they're doing the same. What are they looking for? Prescriptions, over-the-counter medications, pet medications. We talked about that. We forget about those things. Medicated lotions and ointments and pills in any packaging will be accepted. Remember, sharps and needles will not be accepted. That's something that you need to take care of yourself. We're going to take a little breather, so stay tuned, and my guest will be on deck here real quick. This is for you.
How can I help my daughter with her reading?
Searching for help with Dachshund breeding.
No.
Let me try. Sarah's bright, but when she's reading, she has trouble sounding out words.
Playing world music.
What?
I give up.
Wait, I was trying to show you how Sarah feels every day. Frustrating, isn't it? Redirecting to understood.org.
Join parents and experts at understood.org, a free online resource about learning and attention issues to help your child thrive.
Okay, we're back, and I've got my voice back, my breath back. Some of these announcements are real tongue twisters. Okay, well, it's my pleasure to welcome to the show here at Chautauqua Sunrise the Honorable Mayor Eddie Sundquist. Good morning, Eddie.
Good morning, Doc. Thanks for having me.
It's all right I call you Eddie?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Please.
Call you Mayor?
You know what? You can call me whatever you want. It's not the worst I've heard today, and it won't be the best.
Oh, dear. Well, as you know, I was telling you before the show, is that we cover the whole region as far as the show goes. We're primarily up along the lakeshore, but when we stream live and we go on the radio, we cover the whole county one way or the other. And you asked me if Sam had been on the show, Mayor Teresi, and we just never connected. So I'm glad that we were able to do this today. And so I've never met you before, so this is a pleasure to already gotten to know some of your background and the guys were talking with you earlier, so it was nice. So let's start with the beginning. So where are you from, and where'd you go to school and all that stuff?
Yeah, I feel like we're on a date here, and I gotta
I gotta check you out.
My background story. So I grew up in the city of Jamestown, born and raised, and ended up going off to school in Rochester. So left the area when I was just graduated high school. I was gone for quite a long time. I went from Rochester to I moved to Philadelphia. I actually became a teacher. I was a middle school science teacher for several years in Philadelphia.
And survived.
I survived. I was mostly working with kids in the court system as part of that process. All kids that had been expelled from public school and needed some additional help and support.
You said you taught science?
I taught science, yes.
Which sciences? Just the general science?
General sciences for middle schoolers, 7th through 8th grade, yep. Mm-hmm.
You know, people listening right now might say, oh, that must have been like crazy. But science is so much fun, and kids can really get into science. I taught some science over the years, From middle school. Ooh.
Ooh, you know, I didn't think I was going to like it. You know, it's like every day you see the student kind of passing that note and you relive your middle school years every day. But honestly, I really loved it. It was great to see that, to see students just learn and to see them just things start to click.
So where'd you do your teacher training?
So I did it at the University of Pennsylvania in Philadelphia. So I was taking night classes while I was actually teaching. So the way the program worked is you taught full time during the day, and at night you took your classes.
Double duty. Oh my
double
gosh.
duty.
Oh. So you got your bachelor's in education?
So my bachelor's was actually in political science, and then ended up going off to teach for a little bit, working with kids in the court system, and
Right.
ultimately decided I wanted to go to law school and get back closer to home. So I ended up getting accepted to the University of Buffalo. So it got me closer to home and got me to law school. Did that for about 3 years, and then got the opportunity to practice law back here in the city of Jamestown.
You're a lawyer?
I'm a lawyer by trade, yeah.
I did not know that.
Yes.
So you kind of like stretched yourself a little bit there.
I did, yeah.
Okay, what kind of law did you practice?
So I did mostly real estate, trust and estates, and business law.
Okay.
So kind of, you know, a lot of general things. I was with a firm that did mostly personal injury and workers' compensation, and kind of handled everything else.
Did you have those commercials where you point and say, call this number? And
We had those, yes we did. We did. They were effective.
that's how you draw them in, huh? Oh boy. Okay, so you said political science. Is that the entree for lawyers?
You know, lawyers can go really in any field. I mean, I've known some lawyers that have done psychology. I know some have done political science. I know a lot of law schools love to take folks that have actual hard science backgrounds as well.
Forensic?
Yep, forensics, biology, chemistry, you know, because it's law school and the practice of law is all about a pattern of thinking.
I could be wrong, but I think Pat Swanson, our former DA, I think he had a background in sciences.
Yeah, I don't know. I
I'm
think
pretty
he
sure
might
he
have.
did.
Yeah.
I think he was on the show, and I think we talked about that once. Yeah, people don't realize that, you know, you got to see the whole picture sometimes as a lawyer. Well, that's very cool.
Absolutely.
This is I don't know if I've ever said this on TV before. I was at the juncture in life where I was going to go, and law was one of them.
Wow.
I really thought about it, and so people say, "Well, did I ever do law?" No, but as an educator and as an administrator, I got into public school law very heavy, and as a school board member, I was into, you know, had to know the school law and stuff. And then I was, you know, being school superintendent, as I used to tell people, my job is to keep you out of $1 million lawsuits. You know, as
It's
a
not a
school
bad
district.
thing. Although as lawyers, we like the
You
$1 million
love it.
lawsuits, but you know.
It was the only time in my life I picked up the phone, I could hear a meter running.
Yeah, there you go.
But I'll tell you, the attorneys I worked with were super great, and they helped me out a lot, so we really needed them. Okay, so you're a lawyer in Jamestown? Is that where you were?
Lawyer in Jamestown, yes. So the firm I was with, we had 5 offices across Western New York. I would travel to pretty much all of them, but I was based in Jamestown. You know, the interesting thing about the law is that you learn about the law, you learn about how to practice, you learn about all those things, but no one teaches you how to be like a human being and how to have good relationships with clients. And I think that my time as a teacher, you know, I talked to everyone, right? I learned how to be the coach, the teacher, the mentor, the parent, everything in between. And it really, really helped to have a good relationship with clients, with people.
I really appreciate what you said just about teaching, and being a teacher, you get the people skills. You know, you got the kid that, you know, is angry, he's gone through the court system, life at home sometimes really tough. I worked with a lot of those kids too. And the parents come in, and the weight of the world's on their shoulders, isn't it? And many times,
It is.
a lot of times it's just a single parent. But we can make a difference. Well, I'm good for you. All right, so 3 years, lawyer, Jamestown, then what happened?
So I was practicing for a little bit. Then I decided to jump into politics.
Why?
That's a great question.
Who talked you into that one? Somebody must have whispered in your ear.
You know, it's it's funny because I came back to Jamestown after many years being gone, and as much as you would think things had changed, they had stayed the same. You know, the type of place Jamestown was was really stagnant, and it was sad to see, as someone who had gone for such a long time, come back and not seeing the growth that you would have wanted to see, right? You would have hoped to see as a champion for that city. And so for me, running for office was an opportunity to do that, to be the champion for the folks that live there, to try to push some more growth, and to try to bring what I'd learned being gone for so long to the city.
Now, prior to running for mayor, you put your toe in the water with something else, didn't you?
I did, yeah. I had actually ran for Congress. So I had this bright idea that I was going to just start at the top, right? And ran for Congress.
Thank you. I was wondering the same thing. I'm thinking, like, who's this Eddie Sundquist running for Congress, and how does that work?
Yes, yeah. I lost miserably, right? Yeah. And that's okay, because I learned a lot from that process.
It's amazing what you learn, and the people all in the system, and it's another world.
It is.
It's a totally different world when you have to get into politics and all that sort of thing. So, what was the one thing you learned from running?
Just how to connect with people, how to talk to them, how to be able to identify the things that are needed in order to grow a city, to grow a community. But I have to say, I made some really incredible connections, federally and statewide, as part of that process.
And now they're in your bag of tricks, your tool belt as mayor.
Absolutely.
All right, so you get done, you're running for Congress. Woo! I mean, you just like, poosh, that just blew my mind right then and there. I'm thinking like, wow, that's like a huge undertaking. So that was against Tom Reed, I'm assuming, right?
Yes. Well, there was actually a primary that year.
Okay.
So I ran on the Democratic line. I'm a Democratic mayor now, but prior to that, there was at one point almost a 13-way primary.
That's right.
Got reduced down to 5.
Okay. And the winner of that was Tracy?
Tracy Mitchell.
All right. So you never actually ran against Reed. You were working towards that.
That's correct.
All right.
Yep.
Some history there, because that was what, 5 years ago?
Yeah, it was several years ago now.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So that didn't pan out. You're still a lawyer.
Yes.
You're tired. You got to be tired from politicking and campaigning.
Yeah.
I mean,
but I loved it though,
you.
right?
Yeah,
I mean,
you
when you do something you love, you don't necessarily get tired of it.
All right.
But it was a really great opportunity. And as I went back to law, back to working in the community, I got the opportunity to start to have some really deep conversations with the mayor of Jamestown, Sam Teresi. And he ultimately decided he was going to retire. And it left a giant hole in what does the city do?
Sam had been mayor like 15 years.
20 years.
20 years?
20 years, yeah. Yes.
Wow, I remember when he didn't have gray hair.
Yes. I actually remember when I was younger, he'd sent me a card, and he was congratulating me on something I was doing in the community. And I remember he saying that, he thought that I might take his job one day. And,
he did. You still have that card?
I do. Yes.
Oh, is it in your office?
It's not.
Oh, I'd have that hanging on my wall. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So we have that, and I got a chance to really work with him and get the nomination to run for mayor for the city of Jamestown.
So is he the one to talk to you?
I'm sorry?
Is he the one that talked to you about running?
He's definitely part of it. There was a whole community effort, right? At that point, I had already run for office. I knew folks in the community. I was representing them in many different facets, and to see that support rise up for that position was really incredible.
Wow. Good story.
Yeah.
Good for you. Congratulations. Now you're in your second year as mayor?
I am in my second year as mayor, yes.
Okay.
It doesn't feel like it. It feels like it's been years with a pandemic in between.
Yeah.
But it is second year.
Second year. That's probably why I didn't contact you until now. Because generally, I wait for the first 100 days or the first year. People say, well, why did you get the new mayor on? I was like, give him a chance to run a whole cycle,
Sure.
And things like that. Well, that's cool. Okay, well, that's a great story already. I'm really enjoying that. Okay, so I know this is going to sound like a silly question, but what does a mayor do? I mean, I know what a town supervisor does because, I've sat with town supervisors as a councilman, but I have no idea what a mayor does.
Well, so the mayor is the chief executive officer for the city,
Okay.
right? So with the city of Jamestown, we've got 30,000 residents. We have 450 employees. We have a $36 million budget, and we own a utility company. So the mayor in the city of Jamestown also serves as the president of the utility company. We do a lot as mayor. Everything from HR to working with the city council to set policy and legislation, to doing the day-to-day administrative tasks of the city, coordinating my leadership team, which runs streets and development and clerk's office and finances. Coordinating all of those individuals is what I do on a daily basis.
So you have a team. So this is like where you meet together on a regular basis or something?
Absolutely. We have a very, very strong team of folks that lead our departments. And those individuals manage and make up what we do as a city. Everything from the utility division to our finances, to how we run streets and parks, to our IT operations, to even building maintenance. Right? Because we have a very, very old building that needs a lot of love. So we work together as kind of one team, and my role as mayor is to make sure I'm kind of overseeing the chessboard, right? Make sure the pieces are going in the right direction, to make sure that they're following through with the vision for the city, and that we're in compliance with what is going on in terms of the city council, the legislation, things like that.
You said maintenance, and years ago, if my brother's watching, he'll get a kick out of this. He watches the show from time to time. He called me up one day because he was taking some education leadership classes. And I was superintendent at the time, and he says, "So, who's the most important person in the school?" And I said, "The head custodian."
Yes.
And he said, "Yeah, you're right." I go, "I know." Because
Yes.
they've been there forever. They know everything. And if in one flip of the switch, they can control your life.
Absolutely.
Because they know where the switch is and you don't.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I feel the same way. Our building maintenance is kind of the one, almost the top priority. And surprisingly, we only have one person that does it all. If you don't know where to turn the pipes off, the water's coming down.
Yeah. They're certainly underrated, unappreciated by many people sometimes, but they were my right arms most of the time.
Absolutely.
Okay, you said the vision, so I'm curious. Remember I told you, if you say something, that's an opportunity for me to follow up.
Absolutely.
So what is the vision? How do you get a vision? Who says what the vision is? All that stuff.
Typically the mayor for the city will work with their city council and try to set a vision or a tone for what the city's going to look like for that year. In particular, we normally do that in kind of the State of the City speech that happens at the beginning of every year. This year was tough, was really tough, because what do you do with a pandemic that has kind of rattled the city, shaken
There's
folks?
no playbook for this.
There's no play. I'm still looking for a handbook. It's got to be locked up somewhere,
They didn't
right?
teach you that in mayor's school.
No, they didn't. But that's the vision is really, how does the city adapt to this new changing world? How do we rebuild? How do we rebound to what is the city going to look like going forward? How do we encourage economic development given a pandemic? How do we encourage more people to get out there and do things again?
I think I saw you shaking your head in the affirmative as I was reading Todd's comments. He was spot on from the chamber, wasn't he?
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. There's a huge need for folks not only to get the vaccine so that we can start to see some herd immunity and get folks back to doing things, but also to encourage businesses to reopen and to take precautions as part of it.
So in your vision, a lot of organizations have a vision plan. So what are some of the nuggets of that right now?
So we've got a couple things right now for focusing on this year. First and foremost is really the economic development piece. How do we shift the city from looking at kind of old style manufacturing to more workforce development, more technology focused companies, or even technology based manufacturing? And how do we look at the city as an attractive place for businesses to either start up or businesses to thrive. So that's a big component of it, that we have now some federal funding that should be coming down the pipeline to help in that process. The other big thing that we have for the city is I'm determined to make the city of Jamestown the first city in the state of New York to have a municipal fiber network, one in which either the city or our utility company can provide low-cost, high-speed internet that businesses need to thrive nowadays.
Hold that thought. Folks, you're watching Chautauqua Sunrise, and my guest today is the Honorable Mayor Eddie Sundquist. And if you have a question or comment for Eddie or myself, or just want to share some information, give us a call at 716-753-5225, and a very friendly fellow will answer the phone and pipe you into our studio. Or if you're shy, you can simply tell them what you want to ask, and they'll bring that on a piece of paper to me or my guest. Okay? 753-5225. Okay, so the first city to have a fiber network. Why does that sound like duh? Like the other cities don't do that?
That's correct, yeah. So there's a lot of cities that have networks that they basically just lease out to private providers. There is no city in New York, and no town or village that owns their own or manages their own, creates their own internet service providing network.
All right, so I own Doc's Pizza on such and such a street, and I need internet access. So how does that work?
So for the city to run it, we would use our utility company to wire fiber throughout the city.
Okay.
We'd connect you up.
So a little wire comes down my wall.
Yep. It's the same thing as if you were to get internet now, except it would be provided by the city.
And I would pay you a fee.
You'd pay the city a fee. Mm-hmm.
And it would always be on. I would never drop my emails. There would be no outages, and everything would be wonderful.
Well, there's exactly right. That's the plan. But when you look at something now, if you look at cable internet, right? And for 200 to 500 megabits per second, you'd pay somewhere around $75 a month.
Mm-hmm.
When certain cities across the U.S. have put out their own municipal network, they've been able to provide a gigabit of service at around $30 per month.
About half.
It's about half.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Absolutely.
Especially for mom and pop shops. I mean, already you've saved them almost $300-400 a year.
So not only mom and pop shops, but being able to provide internet to every home and business is a real big thing for me.
Oh, homes too.
Homes too, because we have seen a digital divide like no other during the pandemic. Especially our students in the Jamestown public schools, as you switch over to Zoom and to other online platforms, we found that a lot of families either couldn't afford the internet, or if you had any back due bill of any amount, the providers wouldn't turn you on.
Wow.
Even for the free service.
This is inspiring. I mean, I know that I was in awe one day when someone said that in their school district, I don't know, let me make up a number, 25% of their families didn't have the internet. I go, what? Everybody's running around with cell phones, but that doesn't mean every family has a cell phone. Yeah. And a lot of families may have a phone, but it's just a real basic one or whatever. And it's just not right or fair that 75% of the world is on the internet getting information and data and access to services, and the other, they're stuck that really need the services, right?
Absolutely.
So that is way cool. Now, because we have people that are economically depressed, if we were to have this type of system, would it be on a sliding scale for some folks, or how would that work? I mean, they don't have the money to begin with, so now how are they going to pay the $30 a month?
Sure. So we've actually thought about that as part of the process, and we're working towards a feasibility study to see how do we make this work financially. Mm-hmm. But what some other cities have done is they've worked with those internet service providers and given a lifeline connection. So being able to provide a basic, kind of 10 megabit up just for email, job hunting, that type of thing, service for free. Mm-hmm. And in some cases, we've also seen the schools provide that connection. Because we host the infrastructure as a city, the schools can have a dedicated portion of that fiber line to connect to either families or to connect between schools.
Okay. We're going to take a call. You want to take a call?
Sure thing. Let's
go. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, Doc. Good morning, Eddie. This is Linda Spalding calling in just to say it's great to see you on the show, and congratulations for about all the wonderful things that are happening in Jamestown. You really are rebuilding.
Thanks, Linda.
Yeah.
Can she hear me? I don't know.
She can hear you.
Okay,
Oh,
thanks,
yeah.
Linda.
Yeah. I love the city of Jamestown. The geography is beautiful there. It's a great little city.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
So, what are you doing these days, Linda?
I'm enjoying my freedom.
Recently retired.
I never thought I was going to love it so much.
It's a great job. I'm enjoying it.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay.
I had no idea I was going to enjoy it so much.
Well, good for you.
Well, I keep busy. I've been doing a lot around the house and the outside, and it's great to have all the free time. And, I love working. I'm still working, but, for myself now.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks for calling in.
Well, have a great weekend, and
Yes, will do. You too.
it's supposed to get warmer pretty soon, so we've been lucky.
Let's hope.
Could I have that in writing, please? Jeez. Okay, Lynn, you take care.
Linda, thanks for
too.
calling in.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for coming on the show.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Well, one vote there.
There we go.
All right, we're off and running. That's how easy it is. So, folks, that's how it works. If you want to make a comment or whatever, be nice. That's the rule. 753-5225. Okay, so this is fascinating about the internet, and a lot of people just don't even think about that.
Sure.
How important it is
Yeah.
for those that don't have it.
Absolutely.
And this whole vaccination process has relied a lot on technology, really,
Absolutely.
if you think about it. And I know I've often thought, my mom and dad, my dad was 94 before he passed, and if he was with us today, this would have been like, oh my God, where do I start? And that's where we would have had to jump in to help him out. But there's a lot of people that just don't understand how to go from point A to point B to get vaccinated or get whatever it is. This is really good.
Well, it's interesting you mention that, because one of the biggest issues we've had is we have a lot of folks in the city of Jamestown that are older that just don't have the ability to use the internet to schedule a vaccine appointment.
Yeah.
But they can call someone, they
Yeah.
can talk to someone, they can
Right.
go visit someone.
Call a friend.
So our office was working very closely with the Chautauqua Center and the governor's office to try to get populations of the city vaccinated for those that don't have internet access or may be reluctant to get the vaccine.
So if I got this correct in my mind, you and PJ Wendell took office around about the same time.
We did.
And
Yeah.
3 months later, surprise!
There we go.
Wow, what an initiation into the world of your positions.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes,
I
and
was just doing the math in my mind. I go, wow.
we're all kind of learning as we go,
Yeah.
and the most incredible thing is being able to meet all of these state leaders. In many cases, if you're a new mayor, you got to go to conferences or head to Albany to meet some of the higher ups. All of a sudden, a pandemic hits, and now you're talking every couple days to the lieutenant governor, or
Right.
you're on a call with the governor, or
On your
you're
desk.
talking to Howard
Sorry.
Zucker, right, like the head of the health department. But yes, it's a really incredible thing, and I've made some really great connections that we've been able to use to support the work we're doing in the city of Jamestown.
One of the things that used to aggravate me, some of the work I had to do in different positions, I had to go to Albany. And, you drive there, you had to have a hotel, you had to have food.
Sure.
You sit there. And I got to the point, I'm not a rude person, but I think I was close to being rude to one of the officials there. And I said, can't you, and they called it this, I forgot what it was called. It was like a satellite TV system. I said, I can sit and sleep in Ripley watching you on a TV screen, or if I'm here in Albany, because that's how boring things were. And he kind of looked at me. I was a little facetious, but the point was, why aren't we using it? And here it is, the pandemic, and forced us to use the technology that we had, and we're saving money. We're learning how to do business differently.
Technology is great. It's a wonderful tool, but it doesn't supplant the ability to just sit face to face and hash something out with someone.
Right. In these goofy masks, I say goofy because I got so many different ones, I never know who I am different days because I have these different personas. But it's hard to tell when people wear a mask whether they're angry at you, they're happy with you, all those facial little things that we pick up on people, you can't read them. You don't know if they're joking or not or whatever. So it's been a strange time for sure.
Can I tell you a quick story?
Yeah, sure.
So when you talk about the masks, I have to pose for a lot of photos for the newspaper and things like that, right? And the other day I was at a graduation of some students in a program that they were just finishing up, and they had gone a whole year with it. And we were taking a picture, and I told them a little tidbit. I said, whenever I get my picture taken, I always stick my tongue out under the mask. And I do it especially to the newspaper because they'll never know when I'm doing it.
I don't know, the last couple of days, for some reason, I jump out of the truck, I walk in the building, and I stand there and I feel like I'm stark naked because I forgot my mask. I run back and get it. Yeah. But I think because most of us are getting vaccinated now, we sort of got into a sense of calm rather than the anxiety level. But I keep saying this, I'm gonna make a display of all my different masks. I still have one that it looks very archaic that's in my truck. It's my backup to my backup. Okay, so we digress. So taking over as mayor, you got slammed with the pandemic, but were there any surprises that came in with the job that, gosh, I didn't know I had to do that or whatever?
Yeah, I think every day is a really unique surprise because there's always some type of fire or emergency that pops up that now all of a sudden you need to deal with. You've got department heads coming in and they're saying, we've got this problem and we need to take care of it right away. We've got trees, giant oak trees, 100-year-old oak trees falling down on houses and we need to take care of them, right? Yeah. We've got wire power lines coming down across the city. We need to take care of it. We've got a giant building on fire. We need to take care of it. Those are the things that really have surprised me in this role because you never know how many things just pop up. When you're running a city that has 30,000 people, things happen. Yeah. And you need to deal with it and you need to be able to react to the community.
I see you have 2 cell phones with you.
I do, yes, yes. One is the bat phone and the other one is my personal phone. So
do you ever say, I gotta get away from these phones for a couple of minutes? I mean, do you ever feel like you need a break from it?
I do, but I feel like every time I do that, the phone then rings. So I got to be careful about that. It's interesting. I've always taken the philosophy that when big events happen in the community, we need to react and react together as one community. So a lot of my job is, how do we deal with the aftermath of these large events? Right. The fires, the tragedies.
Yeah, the fire's out and everybody goes home. Oh no.
Yeah, the law enforcement actions, right? I mean, we saw protests in the city after the death of George Floyd, right? And my response was, we need to listen to the community. We need to react. And so I went to those protests, right? And I said, let's talk about how we can be better as a community. Right. We lost an individual the other day to some gun violence. I went to the funeral and I said, I mourn with you. I didn't know the person, but we mourn as a community. So, most of my job is how do we heal as a community? How do we move forward? How do we make it better?
Good for you. I would like to talk a little bit about the city council and the mayor's role. How do they work? What are people are listening right now, especially folks that are not in a city, they may not know how that all works.
Sure.
How does it work?
Yeah, there's not a secret sauce or magic to the program, but it's fairly simple yet complex at the same time. The mayor is the administrator of the city. So my role is to enforce the laws. My role is to make sure that we are complying appropriately with policy. And the city council sets the policy.
And the laws.
They set the policy and they set the laws, yes. So we work hand in hand very closely to try to figure out where are we going with the city. How do we get the money to accomplish the goals? Because the city council will also set the budget for the year. But how do we also work together to get the laws accomplished or laws changed to move the city forward?
Now, do you have veto power like the president, for instance?
I do, yes. Yeah. So it's very much similar for folks that are listening or watching to the president, right? The president is the chief executive and the Congress is the legislative branch. It works pretty much the same way. I can veto it, and then the legislature can come in and override that veto should they wish.
Okay, and then your team, including you, administrate the law. You make sure it's carried out, and the courts adjudicate it if the law is broken.
That's correct. Yep.
Pretty simple, dimple.
It's pretty simple.
And
But
really complex.
Right, but complex because you now have 9 other personalities that you need to be talking to and explaining things to because they ultimately have to vote on it.
Yeah.
Right? So it's in a normal company, maybe you've got the CEO that's making all those decisions, and you do have a board that you report to, but in this case the board takes a much more active role and can override a lot of what the CEO does.
So you're independent. You don't work for the board, the town council. The town council are independently elected.
Yep.
You're independently elected.
That's correct.
And you have your own roles, but they're connected.
That's correct. Yep.
Wow. Do you ever get called in to say, hey, we'd like to have your opinion on this idea that we're forming a law on? I mean, do you work together on this?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. It is, we all work hand in hand, right? So my team will oftentimes propose ideas for local laws. The city council will propose ideas. And so we always try to get together and say, how can we make this work? Is there an area for compromise? And how do we get it through?
Okay. Speaking of which, so you're in year 2 now. You're mayor for 4 years?
4 years.
4
Term
years.
is 4
So
years.
you got
Yep.
2 more years to go. So you're approaching halfway, I guess. Well, you're in the first half of your...
First half of the halfway, maybe?
First
I don't
half of
know.
the half, halfway of the half. So what are your goals at this point for the next couple of years for the city?
So long-term goals really for additional development. I think we need better jobs, better opportunities in the city. Yeah, but I think we're also looking at quality of life things. How do we improve our parks? How do we improve and encourage more younger professionals and folks that are looking to just make a move to come to the city of Jamestown? So we're working hand in hand with a lot of different partners. One of the biggest things that I have coming in my, I guess, first 2 years was how does the city of Jamestown become a better partner? How do we work to create programs with entities that already exist, not-for-profits, businesses, those types of things? And that's something that our team has been doing all along. It's something that, oftentimes we think we have to do it all ourselves in the city, and that's not the case because there's so many great organizations out there.
Help! I'm here.
Yeah,
I'm over here.
doing
over
the
here,
work
yeah.
and needing support,
Yeah.
needing grants, and that's an opportunity for us to create a public-private partnership and work together.
This next comment isn't to be nasty, but I've interviewed hundreds of people now, and I also moderated debates of folks that were seeking political office. And Eddie, I'll bet you every single person that's run for office, regardless of what level, they always say, we have to better train and have better jobs for coming up. And then I ask how they're going to do it. It's always very vague. So help me. How do you guys plan to have better opportunities and better jobs and better train folks for your city?
Sure. So I think first and foremost, you may have seen Jamestown Community College had received a large grant from the state for their workforce development program. Manufacturing technology is a really key component for the
MTI?
city. Yes, absolutely. MTI is, because that's what the city was founded on, manufacturing companies. But we now need to shift more to the robotics and the technology behind it. So for us, we are looking to work with places like JCC and other entities to create workforce development programs that focus on technology. We are working with companies to try to get technology companies into the city. How do we create that municipal network to provide the high-speed network that companies need to connect overseas to Germany, right? Or to other locations across the U.S. So we're trying to make those strategic investments now in order to encourage more companies to come in and to have a higher quality jobs.
So I understand JCC, that's college. Are you working with the younger folks, high school level? Because many of those folks are making decisions like in their sophomore years.
Absolutely.
I mean, I don't know when you decided you were going to do what you were going to do, but I mean, you're sort of growing up and you're sort of forming, a goal. So you talk about workforce development. That's got to go earlier, in my opinion. Anyways.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Being a teacher,
There
right?
you go.
That's the number
There's your
one thing we
connection.
saw
Yeah.
is, it was a common thing to push all teachers to say, you've got to go to college, you got to go to college. But that wasn't the reality for most folks. Most folks would be better off being a plumber, right? Or taking a trade. And so that is something that we have been working to promote, working hand in hand with our public schools, to say, how do we get more folks into trades? How do we create programs that could utilize maybe retired carpenters, retired workers, retired union members, to help train our individuals? It's funny, I was actually just talking to a community member the other day about starting to look for an organization that has a similar program or has started that type of work, so the city can partner to create a grant to make those programs.
Awesome. Part of my past life was overseeing the career tech programs at BOCES, and we did so much partnering with industry, communities, and so forth. And I hope that's still going on. And I know JCC, we work together really well as well. So that's great to hear. All right, well, I wish you luck on that, because
Thank you.
People are still trying to crack that nut. It's not an easy one,
It isn't.
especially when you see the brain drain going to the sunny states and places elsewhere. And it seems hard to keep people here or bring them back. So we really need to do that.
Well, I don't know if it's necessarily harder to bring them back. What we're now seeing in many places is almost like a boomerang. People are going to the larger cities, they're getting their experience that they need, and they're finding that they can have just as good of quality of life, if not cheaper and better, back to where they originally started. So we're seeing, especially in Western New York, although many years a brain drain, we're now seeing folks boomeranging back, coming back to where they grew up.
So maybe it's not so much greener on the other side, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, higher crime and pollution and noise and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I was one of them, right? Like me,
you're back.
firsthand, right? Like,
Good for you. All right, we're down to a couple minutes. Remember, I told you that 40 minutes doesn't take
Moves
any time
quick.
at all. Woo! Looking down the road, are there areas that they're maybe not targets right now, but you're seeing some needs or deficits in your city that you want to tackle?
yeah, I mean, we're seeing all kinds of things. I think one of the biggest issues that we have here in the city is really housing for the city of Jamestown. We have a lot of cheap housing, but it's not necessarily quality housing. And that's a big issue that we're tackling. We are finding that we have to demolish a lot of buildings. We're finding that there is more than 50% rental instead of primary occupant homeowners.
Yeah.
And that has caused a huge issue for us to be able to ensure that the properties are up to code, that people are living in quality conditions. And so we've been pushing very hard to start to look at some new legislation to inspect properties, to ensure that they are livable, they can be provided a certificate of occupancy, and that we aren't just cycling through the same folks, that the people purchasing these homes are quality landlords and are actually working to improve the property.
It all goes hand in hand, doesn't it?
It does. You'd be surprised, right? You see poverty levels, right? Along with the low cost of housing. How do you work together to fix those things, to lift people out of poverty, but also to improve their living situation?
And at the same time, good job training and
It does, yeah.
opportunities.
Absolutely.
All right, thanks. Folks, you've been watching Chautauqua Sunrise. My guest today has been the Honorable Mayor Eddie Sundquist, and this has been a real pleasure. I mean that. I really enjoy talking with you because you've been touching on a lot of buttons that have been important to me in life. You got about 20 minutes, so look at the cameras, tell anything you want to your constituents or anyone that's in the county, whatever you want to say.
Well, we appreciate it. You said 20 minutes, right? So I should
20 seconds.
20 seconds now.
Now
okay.
you're down to 15. You just blew 5.
Well, I just say I appreciate all the incredible things the community has provided to the city, and we want to really just encourage folks right now to take the time to get vaccinated, to help us get back to normal, and to do your part to make sure we as a community continue to live and work together.
Excellent. Eddie, thanks so much for joining me. We're going to have you come back. What do you say?
Anytime. I'm
All
here.
right, you got my card. All right, folks, that's a wrap for another show this week. Next week, got a great show that's going to be talking about cycling and bikes and all that stuff. Stay tuned next week. You can always catch us on YouTube. Have a great weekend. It's going to warm up. I just know it's going to do. And get those vaccines. Take care now. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye. How easy was that?